Looking at the Markets with David Modell. Welcome to Looking at the Markets with David Modell. Today's special guest on Looking at the Markets is Mr. Peter Thomas. Mr. Thomas is a Senior Vice President at the Zaner Precious Metal Division, located on the web at zanerpreciousmetals.com, link in the description of the video. And he is considered one of the leading gold authorities in the world today. As a licensed floor broker, he was a filling broker in the silver pit when silver ran to $55 an ounce. He currently manages a global cash desk which handles refiners, recyclers, mining operations, and coin and bullion companies. He is constantly in demand for his insightful opinions drawn from his 35 years of metals trade to such news enterprises and magazine publishers as Econo Times, Bloomberg News, Wall Street Journal, The Guardian, U.S. News and World Review, Hard Assets, Kitco, and Modern Trader Magazine. And now he's here with me. I'm very grateful for that. Thank you, Mr. Thomas, for joining me on Looking at the Markets.
Well, thank you for having me this morning. I appreciate you asking me to come on.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. So let's start at the beginning, if that's okay. How did you first get into the business of finance and precious metals in particular?
Well, my father was a filling broker in the gold pit many moons ago, and back when gold was below $100, and he traded for many years on the floor and was very well known for being one of the people in the forefront for technical analysis. And when I was a kid, when I was 13, 14, I used to do his charts. And before I could go out and play baseball, he would take my first baseman's mitt and go set it on the dryer and go. And I would have to do all of his charts for the following trading day. And in effect, what it did was acclimate me for trading as I got older. But it was a good learning process. And as I was attending undergraduate school, I worked my summers on the trading floor and worked for a firm that my father cleared. And then as I was waiting to go into grad school, I started trading on the floor and was sponsored to my membership by a couple of floor brokers that got to know me over the years I was there. And subsequently, when I finished school, I came back and started trading on the floor.
Sounds like you got a good foundation there. Heck, when I was 13, 14, I was more interested in video games than in finance, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but,
well, I'm showing my age. We didn't even have video games then. But I will share with your listeners that now my son is here, and he's our third generation. So I'm kind of proud of that.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So let's get into the markets, if that's okay. I wanted to start with copper. With support for copper from China remaining strong, and given the fact that China is responsible for approximately 45% of the world's copper consumption, is this a good time to get bullish on copper?
Well, it's a good question, and I'll tell you something, David. The number now is 62%. We've reassessed the smelting, refining, and uses of concentrates, which somehow they get overlooked sometimes. So we're basically talking about at least 2/3 of the production of copper is ending up in China now. And I mean, think about the size and the magnitude of that. As a matter of fact, I like to do this when I do things for some of the networks. I'm gonna ask a question, and I'll answer for a little trivia question for your listeners.
Sure.
How many pounds of copper go into a new automobile?
That's a great question.
Oh yeah, and the thing is that one of the things I post on my Twitter site I have a lot of metals traders that follow me on Metal Zaner on Twitter, is that I always post the automobile manufacturing numbers just because of the fact that they're one of the largest consumers of copper. So a lot of times you'll see spike moves all of a sudden, and it'll be Ford's projections or GM's projections or Tesla's expectations for usage, because there's a tremendous amount of copper and what's called twisted wire, which goes into that, and so it's very significant. But getting to your point of how much copper is going to be consumed, there's some big things happening. First off, Escondido, which is possibly the largest producer of copper, opened a secondary field, of which they feel will be in production possibly this year or next year at the latest, to where it's going to be bringing some big numbers out of Chile. And you have to pay attention to production in Peru, Chile, as the two major producers. And they both look like they're going to be coming in with pretty good numbers, which is tempering, I believe, the further out months in the futures as far as expectations for ore and ore production. And I think that's put a little pressure on the market, because demand has really been pretty good. So if you got good demand, but you have the possibility of larger production coming down the pipe, you get this volatility. Now, this volatility, which is always good and healthy for a market to be moving, having lots of bids and offers. But the problem is we've been stuck in this band, Dave. And that band has been really 247 to, let's say, just the high 60s. And we've been stuck in that little range now for a while. And I think that's what's going on. You have the ebb and the flow. Now, China came in and staggered everybody, and myself included, when they said that when they released their expectations of consumption. Yeah. And it showed that they're going to need a lot more copper. And one of the reasons for that, many people felt, this new city they're going to open. You know, Beijing is almost unlivable. I mean, you can't. I mean, if you're standing in Beijing and you hold your hand out at arm's length, you almost can't see it some days. It's that bad. Wow. I was supposed to speak at a symposium, the Gold and Silver Symposium, which is there every year in December, and I was invited to be on the dais there. And my cardiologist said, "There's no way I'm going to approve you to go." I said, and so that's how bad it is when the heart surgeons are telling you not that you shouldn't be on the plane. Yeah. You know, things are that polluted. So their idea of fixing it is by building another city further away from the industrial area. Right. And they're building a giant city. I mean, it's going to be the size of Manhattan, and the consumption is going to be staggering. I mean, think about it this way. In America, consumption stats are this: 400 pounds of copper to the average house. And they're going to build a city the size of Manhattan. So we're looking at some pretty good consumption numbers. Now, I hope I didn't throw too much at you guys, but I'm trying to paint a picture here for you as to how much production we're going to see as far as usage goes in China versus production offshore from China. Right. And right now, it's a real yin and yang, to answer your question. And it's going to be very hard to really peg if this is the point to get in or if this is the point to sell. What I would recommend to your listeners is this, David. Look in that zone. And I would say if you're thinking about hedging, which is what we do here because we represent people that produce, sure, I would be hedging at the top of that band. And if you have a need for consumption, for manufacturing, pipe, wire, whatever you're producing, I would be looking to buy at the bottom of that band. And it's very, it's a very vanilla way to go at things, but that's what we do here. And we're here to make money day after day, and we don't have a lot of bells and whistles.
Nothing wrong with that. And if you find a channel, why not play the channel that you find? Why not play that range? That's what I say. And by the way,
very well put.
And by the way, you had a trivia question, and I noticed that in your newsletter, which I will refer to in a moment, you put those fun and informative trivia questions in there. I love those. Really spices it up.
Thank you.
So when are we going to get the answer to the copper question, though?
Okay, now that you're twisting my arm, the average new car, and this is interesting, the average new car uses 40 pounds of copper per vehicle.
Okay.
That's a big number.
Yeah.
Now, the new high-tech hybrids and the new all-electric cars, you can double that number. And many people, especially Canada, the Scandinavian countries, expect to be completely electric by as soon as 2018. So we're going to see a pretty good size increase in there.
Yeah. Very good,
Yep.
sir. I wanted to move to Palladium. Palladium.
Alrighty.
Yeah, if that's okay. Palladium has recently seen its highest price in a while.
Quite a while.
To say the least, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it too overbought in your estimation to buy here?
Well, here's the thing. Our recyclers, we have a market that we refer to as AutoCat, which is the automotive catalytic converter. And the AutoCats are recycled on a very regular basis. They come in 60,000 pound lots on tractor trailers, and then they're refined out, and they refine platinum, and then of course for diesel, palladium. And when our guys come to us now, we're looking at this missile shot, if you will, because I have to say, I mean, platinum and palladium really has ruled the roost.
Yeah.
There's just no question about it. And the question is going to be, are we at a top? Well, I just did an interview on Bloomberg the other day in which I said, it's starting to look a little toppy from the technical side. And of course, then palladium stuck it in my ear for $30 and continued to rally.
Yeah.
So the thing that we have to look at in a realistic sense is momentum. When you have so many algo traders, and this is kind of a pale over my market, is the thing that when the green light goes on and the algo traders go, it's green, you buy, and it's automated at that point, and it meets their parameters for the velocity and volume and whatever they have fed in. They just buy. There's no thought, no rhyme, no reason. They're just going long.
Right. And
that has been, I think, one of the bigger drivers of this. When you have markets moving as fast and as whipsaw, I mean, we move sometimes $27, $30 a day in there. So it's no longer just a stock hedging for my guys. I mean, we now have specs in there and bigger specs in there in what is really a relatively smaller, obscure market. And now we got bigger players coming in, open interest increasing. So to answer your question with that little flavor that I put in there, is it time to buy? Very high risk. Tell your people, take a look at this. It's hard to get in, and it's going to be real difficult to get out if it breaks.
Yeah.
But there are funds available that move a little slower, which certainly could present an opportunity. I myself, after seeing a 37% run up in a price, might be looking to buy a dip versus stepping in and buying on a meteoric shot.
Sure. No one wants to buy at the very top, although someone always has to, by definition.
I'll tell you a great story. When silver traded $55, I had a pretty good-sized bid come in, and I was holding the deck, and the guy comes in bid, and I said, sold 55, and the place went quiet because it was kind of a landmark price.
Yeah.
And 27 years later, I met the guy that bought that load.
Wow.
Yeah. And he looked at me and he goes, you were pretty famous down there. He goes, you were the guy that sold that load to me? And I said, yeah. And I said, that came from the Bunker Hunt fault. I remember that filling that order. And he goes, I was the idiot that bought the high of the whole market.
Wow. That's fantastic. I mean, not for him, but
no, not at all.
Great story, though. Tell you what. Wanted to move on to the services being currently offered at ZahnerPreciousMetals.com. Check the link in the description of this video. How can people, first of all, get a copy of the Zaner Metals Market Report? I love that report. And also, what services are offered right now at ZanerPreciousMetals.com?
Okay, well, first off, a lot of people follow us on our Twitter. They go on our Twitter because we post our newsletter there for our metals people. They could certainly contact me here, and we'll get them on the list. It's also in Hard Assets, which is a magazine for people in our industry. It's #1 in the metals community, so it's around.
Yeah.
Now, as far as services, we own a proprietary platform called Tornado. Tornado is probably the premier platform for hedgers, and when I say hedgers, I mean miners. Recyclers, remember we just went over AutoCats and people that are bringing in product, and recycling is just getting more and more important, especially in this environment. So we do copper on the futures side because of the size of the contract. The copper just the amount of copper that runs through is rather large, and it's more inexpensive. It's less expensive, if you would, for our hedgers. And then we do platinum, palladium, gold, and silver on our platform for our hedgers. And it goes down to the ounce, so that if you're a miner, you can figure out what your yield is going to be on your hourly crush, and you can hedge accordingly on your phone, on your iPad, whatever. And then as far as your recyclers go, they're bringing in your truckloads. A lot of guys now have algos. They figure out what their e-waste, let's say, for example, if you're crushing Dell keyboards and your algo says, I'm going to get X amount of yield of copper, X amount of yield of gold, X amount of silver, and it automatically hedges all that for them. So there's no thinking. It's done automatically.
Right.
For traders, we have a futures department. If someone wants to open a futures account, we'll direct them into one of our guys, and they'll be happy to give them a hand.
Sure. Sounds like a full range of services being offered at ZanerPreciousMetals.com. The Twitter accounts to follow are at GoldBug111 as well as at MetalZaner. And those will be in the description of this video. Fantastic.
And David, the Metal Zaner is the one where the newsletter will be, and that's probably where they want to be.
Yeah, so check out at Metal Zaner on Twitter. Follow that.
Perfect.
Yep. Subscribe to that one for sure. All right, so silver. I love me some silver. Yep. For investors wanting to profit from a rise in silver prices, is it better to invest in silver itself, or perhaps in mining companies such as Hecla Mining or First Majestic Silver? What do you think?
Well, it's a good question. And let's add a little flavor to this. All right, the levels that we are at right now, are they high? No. All right, I just talked about trading at 55 down at 16, 17, 18. They're certainly not high. Right. They're at a base level, if you will. So what I like to do is I like to recommend to people to have a little diversity. First off, many I think in the 1600s, late 1600s, early 1700s, the Cambridge School of Economics said all models for businesses should have 5 to 10% in metal. Still holds true today in many people's opinion, and certainly in mine. I believe that you should have some physical, and then if you're looking to have some leverage, possibly go into some using some of the futures market, and or maybe even some of the mining stocks that you just referred to, David. The question is going to be risk tolerance.
Yeah.
So if we address risk tolerance, I always say to people, if you got a pile of money and you can push it out on a table and set it on fire, then you know what your risk tolerance is,
Right.
And so you can pick the highest risk stock market offerings as far as your penny stocks. You can go into your futures markets and hopefully find a good broker who can teach you how to protect yourself with the use of stops and things of that nature, and picking support and resistance points, and or you can come into us, and we do have a retail site on which we can offer you a safe home to acquire metals also.
Yep, and people should check that out and take advantage of it.
Yep.
Now, we touched upon palladium. Then you've got
Yep.
platinum, which is kind of the opposite of palladium, at least recently. Platinum is down on almost every time frame. Is there a bullish case to be made for platinum?
Well, when you speak platinum, you know, all the platinum production really comes from two major places, South Africa, which went through that horrific strike. And what happened was sources all over the world were becoming depleted for refined platinum, and it stayed that way for quite a while. And we've been in a deficit for some time now. Also, of course, Canada and Russia are large producers. Siberia, of course, and so if we address the fact that we have been in a deficit with refined product, and demand has been about what we expected, no surprises. Guys like myself that make projections and look at production versus consumption in order to give my hedgers a better overview, I haven't really been surprised by anything recently. So I would say that it's time to get down to those charts, get into a channel, and look for. I like platinum. We run into shortages. It has usages in high-end things, along with rhodium, and it is a good conductor, and it has a very high melting point. So it does have good function, good places. We have hedgers that use platinum for all types of electric products, and so it does have good usage. We also have been making a lot of inroads into the jewelry arena as of recently with our Tornado platform card, and getting a lot of hedging from our jewelers, and they've been seeing a little bit of demand. So is it time to buy it? I think only on a dip, David. I don't think I would jump in here. I wrote at length, I can't remember, it was Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg. I'll look for you. Maybe I can get you the article.
Sure.
On the fact that when platinum was about $140 above palladium, I said, hey, I think this thing could come to even, which sounded insane back then, but it's getting pretty close now.
Yeah.
And so if palladium gets over platinum, I would almost be tempted to invert the spread and say, hey, wait for this stuff to pull back a little bit and then be a buyer. So what I'm recommending to you, to answer your question as directly as I can and giving you this little bit of painting in the background here, is look to buy dips. I wouldn't buy on this rally.
Sure. And by the way, it should be noted, a disclaimer for everybody listening and watching this, nothing we're saying in this video is to be interpreted as investment advice or trading advice. We're not suggesting that you buy or sell anything. Do your own due diligence. However, that makes sense to me. We're finding a range or a channel in palladium and others, and we're waiting for that dip. I love a good dip. And and finally, gold. Of course, how could we not talk about it? Gold has recently broken a 6-year downtrend. Very exciting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Would it be fair to say that geopolitical worries make gold a solid investment at this point in time?
Oh, well, I mean, we have to look at, let's look at today. Let's not even look at the bigger picture. Today we had someone open fire on our elected representatives on a baseball field. You know, 5 people wounded. We had Ron Paul in the batter's box, had to hit the deck because of incoming fire. I mean, you know, are you kidding me? One of the biggest apartment complexes in England burned to the ground, 6 dead. You know, Sweden it just had 8 no-enter zones called due to crime is so intense that Estonia told its citizens not to go there. I mean, there's things that you would never have believed could have happened 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's today. That's not the whole big picture.
That's one day, yeah.
Yeah, and by the way, here it's only 10:30, so we got a full day ahead of us here. So, So is geopolitical hitting it? You betcha. And I'll tell you what, I saw a $9 rally when they first opened fire, and they didn't know who was hitting gold, so people came rushing in. So the safe harbor label for gold is as strong as ever. And it's hard with the geopolitical situation as it is right now. As you envision the fleet bobbing up and down off the coast of North Korea, and supposedly 9 nuclear warheads can be delivered by this maniac right now. I mean, do I want to own gold? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Why not? It's as good a time as any. As you mentioned, all this unrest going on, and it's only the market's only been open for an hour or so. So it's you know what, if you're gonna hedge, again, we're not telling people what to do, what not to do, but if you're gonna find a way to hedge, precious metals are as good as any. And if you want to learn more about the precious metals scene and how to trade those channels, how to get in and not get hurt, or at least not get hurt much, because there's always risk. You want to check out Zaner Precious Metals with an S.com. You want to go to Twitter at metalzaner.com. Get yourself a copy of that Zaner Metals Market Report. Request your copy today. Also at Goldbug111. I know that's your more personal Twitter handle. And is there any other way that people can contact you for more of this information, this both the free and the services that you're providing?
Well, I could tell you that if they want to call into the main number, which is 312-277-0140, we can get them into our future side. We can get them into our hedging side. We have a commercial division for metals, which would be very happy to help them. A lot of first-time hedgers. We also have, really in the last couple of years, we have an IT section which has been helping hedgers, because what's happening is a lot of people who are starting to identify risk in their ERP inside of their company are having to go out and hire development staff in order to hedge their metals. Well, we're metals dealers, and we have our own IT, so we save them all these steps. And if someone wants to ask us for some assistance in helping them mitigate risk in their business profile, we'll be real happy to do it.
Fantastic. Sounds like full service, a full service organization where they cover all aspects of it. You're never left wondering what to do or how to do it. I really like I like the sound of that.
Yeah. Well, we try to do JVs and have as many partners. Look, if you're not horizontal now, you're just not going to be here, and that's just pretty much it. I mean, we pretty much do. We have offshore depositories. We can help people store gold around the world. We also have an FX department. We can help people who are trading metals around the world hedge their portfolio within their currency risk. We can deliver metal pretty much in any size, shape, or form globally. So we have learned over the years how to fit into our niche and fulfill through trial and error, if you will. As I think we're probably one of the premier operations in the world today.
I would agree with that. The number to reach your organization is 312-277-0140. Also, once again, check out ZanerPreciousMetals.com, at Goldbug111, at MetalZaner. Get yourself, request a copy of the newsletter, Zaner Metals Market Report. It's been quite an educational interview. I've learned so much, and I love the way you put flavor into your answers. Thank you so much, Mr. Peter Thomas.
My pleasure.
Yeah, and hope to have you back again real soon.
I'd like that, David. Thank you for taking the time to sit with us.
Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time.